Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Today's topic is going to be more or less an economic topic. However, this topic can put a person in stressful situations, and from being stressed, they can go into suicide mode as well as depression mode. And what I'm going to talk about is dealing with credit and how to interact with collection agencies. Credit and how to interact with collection agencies. Now, there are many of us who have bill problems. I've had them myself. In fact, I filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and it was on my credit report for 10 years. Not a good idea, but that's last resort. I would file for Chapter 13 to see if you can lower your payments because you want to keep your credit up to par. Because if you don't, you're more likely to get credit cards, but you're going to be paying higher interest rates. And you don't want your money going toward interest. You want it to go toward principal. Now, that being said, what happens if you've done everything for your creditors? You've made all of the payments you can make, but you're just out of resources. And that happens. You lose your job. Well, some creditors will work with you, others will not. Because credit is big business. In fact, creditors really want you to pay minimum, and they want you to pay late, and they want you to go over. Why? Because it's more money in their pocket. That's crony capitalism. Now, that being said, once a creditor closes out that account, now I want you all to hear me clearly. Your credit gets charged off. Now, this is the kicker. When that credit gets charged off as bad debt or an allowance for doubtful accounts, that's an accounting term, that credit is then written off by the creditor as a tax write-off. It's a loss, but it's a tax write-off. Now, that being said, the account is bought on pennies by a third-party collection agency. Basically, it could be 25% of the bill that the customer from the creditor owes. Let's say it's $1,000. Well, a third-party collection agency might purchase that account for $250. Once they have your account, this is when the calls start. Now, one must remember through the Federal Debt Credit Protection Act that a collection agency can only call between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. And you can stop the collection calls by sending a cease and desist letter. Also, you must prove that the account is yours, even if it is yours. Now, moving on. Now that the collection agency is calling you because they have your account, they want to charge you fees. And they want you to pay the whole bill back. Now, they'll work out different installment plans, or the first thing they want to do is get the money out of you when they first call. Now, why do they do that? Very simple. I used to work for a collection agency because employees get a commission off of all the money they collect. It's an incentive for employees. This is why individuals are harassed. The problem with collection agencies is some of them use unprofessional tactics, like they threaten to get the police after you. And I want everybody to know that the United States of America is not a debtor's prison. So you can't go to jail for unpaid debt unless it's child support. But even you really can't go to jail for child support because there are legal maneuvers around that as well. It's just that a number of us don't know. But when it comes to a collection agency, going back to the debt being yours, different states have a statute of limitations. Now I know where I'm from, in the state of Pennsylvania, it's 4 years. In Indiana, it's 6 years. Now there's the statute of limitations for debt and credit. But basically, your credit goes into the category of a debt. Now, if a collection agency is calling you numerous times a day, you document that call. And don't volunteer any information. This is why they always tell you that the call is being recorded. So you, as a potential client, could admit to the debt. But even if you do admit to the debt, if you don't sign any paperwork, it's called a contract, then you're not obligated to pay that debt collector. You're not. And if the statute of limitations is up, the debt collector can no longer attempt to collect the debt. And if they violate that cease and desist letter, you as a client can sue. If you're harassed, you as a potential client can sue. If they call you before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m., you can sue. You can also sue if they're harassing you at work or they're calling your family. That's harassment. And if they use language that's unprofessional, you can cite them for that because that's abuse. The bottom line is you want to pay your bills because that's the moral thing to do, but you don't have to pay a collection agency. Now, the collection agency will say, well, it's going to impact your credit. Here's what's going to happen when it comes to your credit. Now, there are credit repair agencies out there, and one that I recommend, and they help me with mine, is called Lexington Law. They will challenge different accounts on your credit report. Now, of course, one must understand that there are 3 credit reports. There's TransUnion, Experian, and there's a third one as well. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but those are the credit agencies that Lexington Law will contact to help remove negative items off your credit report. Equifax is the third one. That's right. The 3 credit agencies are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Now there's another one floating around called Innovis, but they don't deal with credit. I believe they deal with data collection. But with your credit report, you get 1 free credit report a year. Review that. And if you have any negative items on your credit report and your items are in collections, here's what you do. You just leave them there. Why? Because credit is on your report for 7 years anyway. But when you go and pay that collection agency, after a debt hasn't been paid, the clock starts all over again. Now you have committed yourself to paying that collection agency. Now, there are some that you can pay depending on the debt, and that's negotiating a price. Let's say you don't want to pay the debt collector's fees, because some of them are as high as $1,000. Well, why should they charge me money for a debt? Well, from their perspective, they bought the debt for pennies, so they want to make up the difference of what they bought. So if they bought a debt that was $1,000 for $250 and they charge you $1,000, they just made their $250 back plus more. That's what they're doing. It's a business, but it's a sleazy business. But if you document everything correctly, you don't have to take the abuse from a debt collector, because they're only there to make money off of you. But again, you must look at that debt. They have to prove that it's your debt. Number two, if you don't want to be harassed, write a cease and desist letter. Of course, some may come around and threaten to sue, but most of them aren't going to sue. Why? Because it's going to cost them money, particularly if the debt is owed. And another thing one must understand, debts get passed around from collection company to collection company. So on your credit report, if you had that $1,000 debt, you look on your credit report, you may have 3 debts for $1,000. Folks, they're all the same debt. See, a lot of these collection companies transfer debt. If one company doesn't make money, another company will buy it, and so on and so on and so on. This is the reason why you don't pay a collection company. But if you are going to pay a collection company, send them a check. Don't use your debit card, because they're going to try to talk you into automatic payment. You don't want anybody going into your account. That happened to me with a payment to Centennial Bank. And I got on them about that, because they went in my account trying to draw funds out that weren't there, and here came the overdraft fees. Centennial Bank was a subsidiary of First Premier Bank in South Dakota, for you individuals who have actually gotten MasterCards and Visas from First Premier Bank. The credit cards are very high interest. But going back to collection companies, make sure you don't sign any documentation, because once you sign that documentation, now you're proving to that collection company or that collection agency that the debt is yours. And if you start making payments on that debt, you have now opened Pandora's box. You're telling them, yes, that debt is mine. Always work it out with the creditor first. And if they're not willing to take your money, go up the chain of command, because if I'm a company and I have a chance to get my money back, I'm going to get my money back. Plus, I have the write-off. So I'm in a win-win situation. But utilizing a third-party collection agency is not always the best answer either, because if a customer couldn't pay their bill with the creditor, what makes you think they're going to pay their bill with a collection agency? And be aware of these collection agencies who are disguising themselves as attorneys' offices. You have a number of them out there. I know there's one in Ohio, one in South Carolina. Can't remember the names right offhand. But they're going to use all kinds of tactics to try to scare you into paying them. You watch this video, you throw back at them statute of limitations, You tell them to prove the debt is yours. You tell them that you didn't sign a contract for them to make you pay them. If you get a new account, you sign a contract, the terms are listed on that contract. Well, collection agencies will send you information in the mail about your account. But if you don't send them any information back, that means they can't prove the account is yours. That's another tactic that they use. They'll call you and say, well, we sent you something in the mail. I said, so? Still can't prove the debt is mine because I didn't sign anything. And if they start becoming unprofessional, you take the person's name, their ID number, and you report that collection company to your state's attorney. Also, when it comes to debt collection procedures or processes, make sure that that debt collection company is licensed. That's the trick that nobody understands. Because these collection companies could be in different states. But if they're not licensed to do business in your state, they can't collect money from you. Remember that. So let me go over everything that I just mentioned in this overview, so you can deal with collection companies. Because going back to mental and psychological health issues, poverty, debts that are unpaid, lack of employment, lack of resources will put you in a state of stress, depression, and it could lead into suicide. Although debt is not considered a mental health issue, it could lead you to a mental health issue. It could lead you down the road to stroke, to high blood pressure, because of stress. One must remember that. Now, if you're looking at the video, and I've been talking about mental health issues, you can see the connection between debt, poverty, health issues, and mental health issues. Everything meets right at a point. But going back to dealing with debt collection agencies. First, they have to prove the debt's yours. Number two, the FDCPA, that's the Federal Debt Collection or Credit Practicing Act. Through them, a debt collector is supposed to call you once a day between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. If you don't want to call them at work, you can tell them, and if they violate that, you can also sue them, but you must provide documentation. That's in your cease and desist letter as well. Also, with collection companies, write up your own disclaimer. And if they violate that, put them on the grounds that you can sue them because you have rights. I know you have people out there, well, you can't pay your bills. Well, some of these debt collectors are going to use shaming tactics, and a number of them can't pay their bills. That's why they're working there, because they're making no money and they're trying to suck money out of you so they can eat. And I'm not feeding those cronies there. Hell no. But the bottom line, you understand statute of limitations, understand that they are 3 credit reports. You get 1 free credit report a year. Understand that debt collectors make money in commissions off of collecting monies from you, debt collection agencies will buy accounts for pennies on the dollar, charge you their fees so they can make their money back, plus more. Also understand that there are multiple debt collection agencies that could handle your account. And if you look at your credit report, you see 3 different debts, which are all the same debt, but different collection agencies handle your debt. Make sure you don't sign anything. Debt collection agencies record calls. You be smart and you record a call. You get the name of the debt collector on the phone. That way you have your proof. And if you record them, you keep yourself out of trouble. And if they're unprofessional with how they are talking to you, because they're calling you, you're not calling them. You get their name, you write down exactly what they said and the time what they said or when they said it. That's right. Documentation, documentation, documentation. Don't sign anything. And I'm talking about documents that come in the mail. Because once you sign your name to something, you admit to the debt. Because you can tell them you owe the debt. Yeah, they have a reference number. But until there's ink on the paper, it doesn't matter. Remember, in this country, we deal with contracts, not verbal contracts. Because that's the documentation. And once you understand all that, you will know your rights as a citizen when it comes to debt collection. And also, contact your original creditor, even if they wrote it off. Yes, a lot of these creditors get a tax write-off for the loss. It's bad debt or an allowance for doubtful accounts. That's what it is. So I hope you all like this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, because this is something that I needed to talk about, because all communities, when you don't have resources, it makes it very difficult to pay your bills. And there are a number of us who are trying to pay our bills. So don't listen to the rhetoric where you are going to be influenced by what these debt collection agencies are saying. Well, you should pay your bills. Don't listen to that. You know you better than anybody else. So make the right move. You be your own boss, because it's your money. So use Lexington Law as one of the credit repair agencies. They are lawyers. I've contacted them. They've helped my credit. And I'm going to tell you something. I went from a 400. After I had that bankruptcy, I'm at a 775 now. But I'll get more into credit later on. But I just wanted to give you, as my audience, an understanding about how debt collection agencies and credit work. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this afternoon, Friday, May 25th, Memorial Day weekend, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm going to have Big Body Matt Coley from BB Productions. He's going to be hosting the show with me, and it's going to be an open forum. You don't want to miss that show. The guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional, mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in emotion, debates, or controversial issues, nor do I participate in drama or unnecessary bickering. Why? Because it's counterproductive. This channel is a positive channel, and I'm here to educate, not denigrate. So if you have the tools that you need, you can survive in the challenging real world that fluctuates every day. And also, be smart. Understand that knowledge is power. Again, this channel is to provide information that's realistic and positive. And that's what I do here at the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. And if you have a topic, a business, or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. If you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy, no bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed afternoon.